I read about your Uncle Ronnie, so I'm sorry. I had a friend kill himself over something you didn't want him. I know you probably hear this every day, but I'm your biggest fan. I ain't got the underground shit that you hear was scam. I got a room full of your posters and your pictures, man. I like the shit you did with Rockets too, that shit was fat.
Hey, my name is Alex. Today I'm going to show you a non-traditional way to cut down this tree by yourself. Let's get to it.
Do you have very tall and large trees that are very close to the fence or the house? And in such case, to cut it down, you cannot simply just make one cut from the bottom because it can fall onto the house or the fence. This video provides an alternative way to cut the tree. It's different from how an arborist would do it, but it's something you can do it yourself. I've done it myself. Before we start, I'd like to give my disclaimer. I'm a software engineer. I've never been an arborist, but I spent several months studying how to climb and properly cut a tree. The method I'm about to share is still very dangerous. So if you have no experience with tree climbing or you have never used a chainsaw, please do not try it at home. By the way, I'll link in the description the resources I used, including the books I read and tons of YouTube video I watched. The method is basically as follows. You build a ladder as you climb up the tree, trim the branches as you ascend, and then cut the tree section by section from the top. Now, this approach is very different from how the professional arborists usually do, as they would wear spike boots to climb up the tree, which is much faster. I have no plan of becoming an arborist, but I actually tried a pair of cheap spike shoes. I found it was very difficult for me to use, so I came up with the idea of building a ladder on the tree. To start with, you need the following tools: chainsaw, chainsaw protection pins, helmet, tree climbing harness, impact driver and socket, drill bit, stout lumber, large lag screw, flip line, tool belt, carabiner, and rope. Before starting, you have to know how to cut the tree from the ground, because the same technique will be used for cutting each section of the tree that I'll show you later. To cut a tree from the ground, you'll make a V-shaped notch on one side, which consists of an upper cut and a lower cut. And then the third cut from the opposite side will be the main cut. Below is the process to cut the tree. Preparation work.
First step of the preparation is to create lumber like this, which will serve as the step of the ladder. You want to rip the lumber to the size that it is able to carry your weight, but at the same time, you don't want it to be too heavy, such that it's easier for you to carry it while you go up the tree. Personally, I just choose 2x4 lumber from local hardware store, and then I'll just rip it in half. Once you cut the lumber to the desired size, like this, the next step is just to pre-drill 2 holes on the lumber, with each hole size slightly than the diameter of the lag screw that you choose. Of course, the lag screw has to be strong enough to hold your weight. As for the distance between the 2 holes, it depends on the diameter of the tree. So for example, for a tree of size like this, you probably want the distance between the 2 holes something like, 7 inches? Let's do it.
Actual work. 1. Start the ladder. Begin by fastening the first piece of the ladder to the tree.
The way you fasten a step of the ladder onto the tree is, first you pre-drill a hole on the tree, then you fasten the lag screw through one hole, and then you pre-drill another hole on the tree, and then fasten the other lag screw through the other hole.
Two. Secure yourself. Use a flip line to secure yourself around the tree and step onto the first ladder.
To secure yourself around the tree is to tie one end of the flip line to the harness and then swing around the other end. And then release the carabiner to tie to the other end of the harness. Once both ends are secure, you can adjust the lengths. The flip line is supposed to be very secure to hold your weight totally when you are standing on the tree. Like so, right? This is what it looks like when you're on the tree. Here I'm wearing chainsaw protection pants. I also have harness, tool belt. Inside the tool belt, I have my drill, pre-cut lumber, and the leg screws. So the next step is to install these guys onto the tree and then keep ascending. Oh, I forgot to mention, I didn't wear helmet and eye protection, and also the chainsaw is supposed to be tied to the harness with rope.
3. Trim branches. Once you've ascended one level, trim the branches to make it easier to fasten the next piece of the ladder.
So like I said earlier, the procedure is to install the steps of the ladder, trim the branches, and also ascend. In the tool belt, I have the lumber, pre-cut lumber with pre-drilled holes. And then I also have these leg screw. I'm also carrying the drill. So that's a lot of stuff that's pretty heavy. So you better make sure your lumber is pretty sturdy. In other words, the lumber you pre-cut has to be able to support not only your weight, but also all these gears.
4. Repeat and ascend. Repeat this process, continuing to ascend. The diameter of the tree will decrease as you go higher.
Once you install a step of the ladder, you use your flip line, ascend upward, like so, right? Pretend that I'm standing on a ladder currently. Then I trim the branches, install another piece of lumber, and then I keep ascending until I reach a point where I can no longer install the lumber.
5. Stop ascending. Ascend until you reach a point where the tree can no longer support the ladder. This is where you will start cutting the first section. 6. Tie a rope and cut. Before cutting, tie a rope around the top section. Have someone on the ground help pull the rope to ensure the top section falls in the right direction, away from you.
Now pretend I'm near the top of the tree where I can no longer install more ladders because the diameter of the tree has become so thin that it simply won't be able to support the lumber anymore. That's the point where I want to make my first cut. At that point, first, you want to install more than one lumber at different orientation, such that you will have more freedom, more leeway when you are trying to cut the V notch. Second, you want to tie a rope at the upper part above you and have someone to pull the top section toward the direction that you want. Then you use your chainsaw to make your V cut. And since you install more than one step, you can move away and then go to the opposite side to make the final cut. Meanwhile, your helper will pull the rope to guide the falling direction of the top section that you're going to fall. Once you've done that, you can then descend and then repeat the same process.
It is very important that you have a rope that pulls each section of the tree in the right direction. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I didn't do so and watch the video. The section of tree fell on an unexpected direction and I was almost dragged down by the tree. Thank God I was very lucky and I was fine. But my wife was totally pissed off. So let me warn you again, please, unless you are experienced, do not try it yourself. 7. Descend and repeat, which may be a few steps below the top one, and repeat the process until you reach the ground. Here are some footage of the tree cutting in action.
Caminhando pelas ruas, mente viajando, pensando no amor, o coração tá pulsando. Entre becos e vielas, luzes cintilando, sombras se movendo, desejo despertando. Cidade dorme, mas eu tô bem acordada, sentindo teu olhar, querendo essa jornada. Ritmo da vida, batida acelerada, procuro teu sorriso, na escuridão calada. Pelas ruas nós somos secreto, doce tentação, nosso jeito discreto.
What can be improved? Here are a couple of things. First, As mentioned earlier, I should have asked a helper to use a rope to guide each section of the tree as I cut it. This would have ensured the tree fell in the desired direction. Second, better tools make the job easier. I didn't realize how important the sharpness of the chainsaw would be. There were times I was up high on the tree and my chainsaw wasn't cutting efficiently. That wasted time and was also very dangerous. Lastly, thanks for watching this long video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.